The baby. Oh, look, it's me.
Oh, look at you!
Let's start with the dangerous and slowly work our way towards the most deadly outlaws on the list.
That may have been a bit too loud. I was just testing out the audio, okay? Just wanted to say that.
10. Clay Allison. Clay Allison was nothing short of a wild man, a notorious gunfighter.
Yeah, look at that. What on earth happened to his leg? That looks very painful. Also, the way it's wrapped, I don't know, man, but he seems to be in a good mood.
Who earned a reputation for being extremely violent. Like in 1870, when Allison led an angry mob to the local jail to break out a man named Charles Kennedy, who had recently been
Kennedy. Oh, maybe he's part of the Kennedy family. Maybe he knows about the secrets, the big dark secrets.
Convicted of murder. He would break him out of his cell, only to lynch the man himself. But for Allison, the man was not dead enough. So he began to decapitate.
How could you literally lynch a dude and he's not dead enough to your eyes? Well, that's mentally unstable right there.
The man as well, placing his head on a stake and proudly displaying it at the local saloon, which of course traumatized all of the children who were coming in for a drink.
Children coming in for a drink. Man, Wild West days, you know, some people adore the Wild West, and I could see why, because you pretty much had the right to do whatever the hell you wanted. But, yeah, kids drinking, no.
Allison was such a wild man that he would oftentimes be seen riding his horse through town, completely naked, with nothing but his pistol on his hip.
That's what I'm saying, true freedom right there.
But my favorite incident was when Allison accepted a dinner with a man named Chunk Colbert. Chunk was a notorious gunfighter who was rumored to have killed 7 men up to this point. And it was no secret that Chunk wanted nothing more than to see Allison dead. Now, of course, Allison knew this, but he still accepted Chunk's dinner invitation nonetheless. While in the middle of eating dinner,
well, probably because he really has no fear. You know, because he's mentally unstable, like he doesn't fear dying. Like he doesn't have that fear.
Nowhere, Chunk would jump out of his chair and quickly drawing his gun to shoot Allison dead.
Like how he's eating a severed limb, by the way.
Only to hit the edge of the table with his pistol, which prevented him from raising it up any further. And in one swift motion, Allison drew his weapon, shooting Chunk between the eyes. When asked,
damn, nice shot.
Why on earth would he ever accept dinner with a man he knew wanted to kill him?
Like I said, he's mentally unstable. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a
To which he replied, because I didn't want to send a man to hell on an empty stomach.
Okay, well, at least he has some remorse.
Number 9.
Wow.
Cherokee Bill. Crawford Goldsby, or better known as Cherokee Bill, was an infamous outlaw who was responsible for the murder of 8 to 13 men.
Yeah, but many of these are in self-defense, at least according to some of the stuff I was reading.
Bill would become an outlaw in 1894 at the age of 18, when he would confront a man that had beaten up his brother.
Yeah, see, told you.
But once he was face to face with him, he realized he didn't want to get beat up as well. So he would just end up shooting the man instead. And from this point on,
I don't know. The thing is, like, eventually it would have had to come to that point. So, I mean, technically, self-defense, sort of, I guess.
He would live the rest of his life on the run as a wanted criminal. Shortly after this incident, Cherokee Bill would join an outlaw group called the Cook Gang.
The Cook Gang. Oh yeah, we love to cook food. We love to cook nice, big old juicy steak.
Which specialized in robbing banks, trains, and stagecoaches. Cherokee Bill's crime spree was long and involved many heinous crimes. But to better understand this man's insane work ethic, let's just take a look at a small section of his crime spree. Starting with June 17th, 1894, when Bill shot and killed Deputy Sheriff Sequoia Houston in a gunfight.
No, that's self-defense.
And 1 month later, Bill would even clock in for holiday pay, shooting and killing 2 men on the 4th of July. Then,
wow, I'm surprised people even celebrated 4th of July back then. Jeez.
2 days later, on July 6th, he was rumored to have killed a railroad worker. Then a few weeks later, on July 30th, Bill and the Cook Gang robbed the Lincoln County Bank in the Oklahoma Territory. As you can see, Bill's
which is now Oklahoma, obviously.
crimes were non-stop.
Oklahoma and Nebraska had a big old feud regarding land, like the territory where the state lines, and oh my gosh, it was crazy. If I remember correctly, it was Oklahoma and Nebraska. Self-governance.
Till the day he was caught, which came on January 31st, 1895. But even in jail, Bill's Silvertooth activities would continue, as he somehow managed to get his hands on a revolver.
Yeah, somehow.
He would end up shooting a jail guard in the stomach and back. But it would all be for
Because the jail guard was trying to abuse him.
nothing, as he would be locked back up in his cell. And on March 17th, 1896, Cherokee Bill, the most infamous outlaw of the time, would be hung for his crimes. And just moments before his execution, he was asked if he had any last words, to which he replied, "I came here to die, not make a speech."
Fair enough.
Number 8, George Nelson.
His nose, man. Something out of SpongeBob.
Most from the Wild West had some of the coolest nicknames, names like Billy the Butcher, Shotgun John Collins, Pistol Pete,
Pistol Pete.
James Wild Bill Hickok, Kevin Black Eye McLuffin, Texas Jack, Bronco Bill, the Kentucky Cannibal.
I love how none of these people smile in the photos. They're just like dead serious. Like no one did that stuff back in the day. Like back in the day, photos were like this very like serious thing. Now it's just like all like everyone's goofing off, messing around.
Last one might still be
You
up
know, taking those selfies and crap.
for debate. But my point is, most outlaws had really cool names. But sadly
For
for
the
George
most
Parrott,
part.
he got stuck with one of, if not the worst one, as he would be known as Big Nose George.
Big nose. Well, he has a big nose and a god awful mustache.
Or Big Beak Parrot. And with a nickname like that, it's no surprise that the man was very angry and went
Yeah,
on to
I can kind of see that.
commit some of the most disgusting crimes, from robbing trains, stagecoaches, and cattle to the classic Wild West pastime, cold-blooded murder. And after many years of crime, it would all eventually come to an end. On August of 1870, a train in Wyoming by removing a stake from
Of
the.
course it would be in Wyoming. Out of all places, of course it would be in freaking Wyoming.
But to their surprise, they would be spotted by a railroad worker. Knowing that they had been identified, they quickly fled to Rattlesnake
They
Canyon.
didn't even have bandanas. How thoughtless.
But what they didn't know is that the gang was being followed by 2 lawmen. These 2 lawmen had a very unique set of skills, as they were specially trained to track criminals down. And as they began to track the faint footprints left by the gang's horses, they would eventually arrive at Rattlesnake Canyon, where they were easily spotted and murdered. After these killings,
Okay, that was a good one.
a large bounty of $20,000 was placed on George.
Which is equivalent to probably about $400,000 to $500,000. Yeah, $600,000 in today's money.
George's head, which is over $600,000 in today's money. But it wouldn't be until 1880 that George would finally be captured. Once in jail, things would take a shocking
Big old feces racket.
turn when George would get
Pile, I don't know why I said. Why is it all in different colors? Ew, that's disgusting. Ugh.
hands on a pocket knife and sawing
of course, freaking George would have a pocket knife.
off his shackles, which he used to smack
But the thing is, honestly, he could have just used his peak because, get it, he's a big peak parrot.
the keeper over the head and fracturing his skull, only to be held at gunpoint by the jailkeeper's angry wife, who was obviously very disgusted with what she saw. Her
Yeah, no crap.
once ugly husband was now ugly and deformed. News quickly began to spread of George's escape attempt, and a large group of 200 people would rally and come to his rescue, breaking him out of his cell. Once he was set free, a rope was quickly tied around his neck and he was lynched. It turns out the group was an angry mob.
All this reminds me of is the one South Park episode, The Free Hat, where that dude Hat, what was his last name? Hat McCormick killed like 20 babies out of quote-unquote self-defense. And they were all defending him and cheering him on. And then he got released from prison and he killed another baby.
The tropical isles with the coconut trees. The air is sunshine, the people are free.
George's skull was then used as an ashtray for many years, and his skin was used for a pair of shoes. Number 7. Bill Doolin. Bill Doolin was an outlaw and founder of the Wild Bunch Gang. They were responsible for multiple crimes from robberies to outright murder. Doolin's crime spree mostly took place in the Oklahoma and Indian Territory and lasted from 1892 through 1896. But it wouldn't take
So this is a little more modern.
long for the
Close to Red Dead Redemption 2 days.
Wild Bunch to become one of the wealthiest and most powerful gangs in all of the Wild West, amassing an estimated value of $165,000, which would be over $5 million in today's money.
Yeah, damn, that's not quite impressive. Quite impressive.
Now, depending on when you're watching this video, that's about the price of a really nice single-family home or the price of a used pickup truck.
Facts.
The gang was so successful at robbing trains and banks, the states had no choice but to place large bounties on all of the members. They were wanted dead or alive. And by 1895, most of its members had been killed, either by lawmen or bounty hunters who were out seeking the reward. Bill himself would be captured and jailed on January 15, 1896. But just 6 months into his jail sentence, he would manage to get his hands on a revolver.
Yeah, of course he would. Of course he would.
Sticking up one of the jail guards and forcing him to unlock the jail door and escaping, leading to a massive manhunt that would end with Bill being cornered inside of a farm. Surrounded by lawmen, he was ordered to come out peacefully, and a few moments later, Bill would walk out and shooting at everyone that surrounded him, only to be instantly put down with a shotgun blast.
Well, at least he had some serious dedication. At least he tried. At least he tried his best.
Turns out that a 1v20 is never a good idea.
Well, he thought so at the time being.
Number 6. Jim Miller. James Brown Miller, or better known as Killin' Jim or Killer
Killin'
Miller,
Jim.
was an
I don't know if you heard me say that, but the way I said it kind of sounds like 6'7".
outlaw, a professional hitman,
Looks like someone from like a mafia game.
and a lawman.
New York Mafia.
Killin' Jim was a notorious gunman who is considered one of, if not the most violent man of the Wild West. It's estimated that he killed a minimum of 12 men, but some reports claim that the number could have been as high as 50. Those
Perhaps.
reports, of course, coming from Jim himself, which we can all agree is genius marketing. Now, some of these killings were justified as they were committed against criminals early on while he was a lawman. The others, on the other hand, were just unlucky, as those were just outright cold-blooded murder, with most of those taking place once he switched sides and becoming a notorious hitman, charging $150 per hit,
Ooh,
which is
okay,
about $5,000 in today's money. And for the next few years, Jim
So
was
this guy wasn't a psychopath. He was an intellectual sociopath.
hired to kill many men. And in 1908, he would get hired by 3 wealthy men to kill a former deputy U.S. Marshal named Allen Augustus. The plan was simple. Pay Jim $1,700 to kill Allen. And once he was dead, the 3 men would acquire his land. So the following day, Jim would ambush Allen on his property, shooting him twice with a shotgun. As Allen was left to die on the floor, his wife would run to the scene.
Ugly ass.
His final words, he would manage the strength to say the name Jim Miller. Soon, Jim and the 3 men that hired him were captured and arrested.
course they
They were
would.
all taken into custody to await trial. But word quickly began to spread that there wouldn't be enough evidence to convict the men for this crime, so the townspeople would take justice into their own hands, breaking all 4 men out of their cells and dragging them to a nearby barn, placing all of them on a platform with a rope around their necks. As the other 3 men cried and begged for their lives, Jim showed no emotion. He was just eager to
Told
get
you. Sociopath.
the show over and done with. Yeah.
It was a good run, boys. Got a lot of men, made a lot of money. Can't go on forever.
Yelling, "Let her rip," and voluntarily stepping off his platform to
Okay.
hang himself. The rest of the men were not so brave and would be taken care of by the angry mob. Number 5, Sam Bass. Sam Bass was an infamous train robber and the leader of a gang called the Sam Bass Gang.
Bruh.
Gang that would become famous when they pulled off the largest train robbery in American history.
Really?
But before we get to that, let's first cover Sam's origins. Believe it or not, Sam tried to live an honest life, working many jobs. He was a cattle wrangler, a horse racer, an advertising sign spinner. Okay, one of those I might have made up.
That would have been cool if jobs like that existed back in the day.
At one point, he would even work for the railroads, where he would load goods onto the carts. Sam could have continued to live an honest life if it wasn't for his gambling addiction, in which he accumulated
he could have, saved his money and not go on the crazy amount of debt.
enormous debts that he could not pay off, which is what led him to a life of crime. He would begin by robbing stagecoaches, but eventually he would put together a gang that would specialize in robbing trains. Using the knowledge he acquired while working for the train companies, he managed to pull off 4 consecutive train robberies outside of Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
But in
Of course, good old Dallas, Texas.
Home of the infamous Buc-ee's.
when they managed to rob a Union Pacific train, stealing $60,000
That's still a thing, right? Yeah, Union Pacific, that's still a thing.
worth of gold, a value that is close to $2 million
$2 million
in today's
worth of
currency.
gold.
And after this robbery, the gang would immediately split up for good. The following year, in 1878, Sam must have gotten bored of being retired and rich. So he would put together a new gang. And on July 19th of the same year, they would attempt to rob a bank in Round Rock, Texas. A robbery that would have been successful if there hadn't been an outlaw turned informant in his gang. And once the gang arrived at the bank, a shootout broke out. With his gang
Jesus.
being shot and killed, Sam would take off on his horse, escaping town. The following day, Sam would be found helplessly laying in a pasture north of town, covered in his own blood from a bullet wound he suffered the day before. He would be rushed back to town, where he would die the following day.
For once, an outlaw that wasn't freaking hung or killed somehow by the local sheriffs in front of hundreds of people.
4. John Wesley Hardin. John Wesley Hardin had to have been the most psychopathic killer of the Wild West,
Looks like a psychopath.
committing his first crime as a child when he stabbed a classmate after a fight. Then in 1868, at the age of 15, he would take it a step further. When he began to argue with the man, but not wanting to risk being wrong, he would quickly settle the argument by shooting and killing the man instead.
That's not a good way to settle arguments.
After the murder, he would go full Jason Bourne, killing 3 Union soldiers who tried to arrest him. And in 1871, while traveling up the Chisholm Trail, he killed another 7 people, then 3 more in Abilene, Kansas. And in the coming years, he would add an additional 4 men to his death list.
Well, he's definitely gonna go to heaven, all right.
By 1878, Hardin had killed at least 20 men.
Wow, this dude just really likes to kill people or something. Like, what the hell?
Some reports speculate that it could be as high as 40. The murder of a former state
Or
policeman
60.
and a sheriff would be the ones to get him arrested. John Wesley Hardin would then serve the next 14 long years inside of a Texas prison. After serving his
14 years for killing about 30 to 40 men. Seems fair enough.
time, he would eventually be released. And in 1895, in El Paso, Texas, Hardin's girlfriend would get arrested for carrying a pistol. Hardin.
Really? Wow, outlaws. Wow.
A few hours later, Hardin would be spotted at the local saloon shooting dice, when a man walked behind him and shooting him in the back of the head.
No formal statement or anything. You're just gonna walk up to this guy and just shoot him right in the back of the head. Okay.
He would be dead before he ever knew what was happening. The man who had shot and killed him was the same officer he had threatened a few hours earlier.
It's not like he was gonna do anything to an officer, right? Like, you know what I mean, right? So come on, man.
The officer simply did not want to take the chance to end up on Hardin's death list. As for the officer, an El Paso jury would end up acquitting him for the murder of Hardin, as they felt that he had done the town a favor.
I mean, perhaps, but he shouldn't have arrested his girl for carrying a pistol in public.
Number 3, Jesse James.
I mean, of course, no one, concealed carried their weapons back in the day. Some people did, but, it wasn't as common, and, that's okay. Because, it's not the gun's fault, it's the people that are using the guns.
Jesse James is perhaps the most famous outlaw of the Wild West.
The boy! Oh, God, the boy!
They call me the boy.
James' appetite for violence began at the very young age of 16, when he joined a guerrilla group called the Bushwhackers, which is not at all what it sounds like. The Bushwhackers were a pro-Confederate guerrilla warfare unit during the Civil War and carried out some of the most atrocious crimes against Union soldiers and anyone who supported them.
Even though Union soldiers abused the indigenous.
Let's just take a quick look at two of these incidents. Beginning with the Lawrence Massacre of 1863 in Kansas, where 150 unarmed men and boys were killed. Then there was the Centralia Massacre of 1864 in Missouri, where 24 unarmed soldiers were executed.
Woo!
A young Jesse James took part in both of these incidents.
Proud Confederate, boy! Proud Confederate. Show me his nation a favor.
But now that you know exactly who Jesse James is, let's continue. After the Civil War had ended, Jesse, his brother Frank, and some former Confederate guerrillas would come together, creating a gang called James Younger Gang, which would soon
Awful name for a gang. Awful.
become the most
L gang name. L gang.
feared outlaw gang in all of American history. The gang would first begin by robbing banks, trains, and stagecoaches. Now, the reason this gang was so feared was, well, they never hesitated to kill anyone who got in their way. The door guy at the bank, the bank teller, the man who just happened to walk into the bank
Voted second best bank. Nice.
while they were
Well,
robbing
not really. I mean, two guys are already dead.
it. The James Younger Gang terrorized the U.S. from 1869 through 1879,
good
robbing
solid
over
10
20
years.
banks and countless trains.
I don't even know what the hell I said there.
The other one, I spent about a half hour out back today. It was nice.
Now, the crazy part is that Jesse James and his gang were treated like local celebrities, since they were seen as standing up for the Confederate movement. They were constantly sensationalized and romanticized in the newspapers, which garnered them a ton of
Yeah,
local
imagine if these people were alive today and today's media covering them.
support. It actually got so out of hand that when the gang robbed the banks and stagecoaches, crowds would begin to form and watch from the sidelines, hoping to get a peek. But after 10 long years of crime, the gang would finally dwindle down, as many of the members began to die in shootouts. And by 1879, only Jesse and his brother remained. With the bounty on Jesse's head becoming larger and larger, he would ask the Ford brothers to move in with him.
Maybe they're related to Henry Ford in a way. I mean, honestly, I really wouldn't be surprised.
They had been members of his gang in the past. They agreed to move in. And on the morning of April 3rd, 1882, while James was hanging a picture frame up on his wall, one of the brothers shot him in the back of the head.
Jesus Christ.
The two brothers collected the reward money shortly
Oh, of course they would. Oh my gosh.
after, and were later exonerated for the murder. Number 2, Billy the Kid. Henry
Billy the Kid. Yes, Billy the Kid. He looks just like the boy in Red Dead Redemption Online.
He's got that whole disfigured face and
McCarty, or better known as Billy the Kid, was an outlaw and a deadly gunfighter. Billy the Kid's life would dramatically change in 1874 at the age of 15, when his mother would die from tuberculosis.
Oh, geez.
Their stepfather, not wanting to raise Billy and his brother alone, would end up abandoning them, leaving both of the boys orphans. With no one to look after them, they began to steal food to survive. Eventually, Billy would be caught by police for his robberies and placed inside of a local jail. During the night, Billy somehow
Wait, why? I thought that. Man, the way the guy draws these characters, I thought Billy was the father. I thought the father was Billy, and then. Oh my gosh.
managed to shimmy up the cell chimney
And it looks like he's falling. He looks like he's falling down the freaking chimney.
and escaping from his cell. And from this day to the day that he died, Billy would remain a wanted fugitive. For the next few years, he would join multiple gangs, committing many crimes, from robberies to murder. He would even be arrested
And murder to robberies. Robbery murders.
several times. But by the early 1870s, Billy would settle down working an honest job as a cowboy for a man named John
John Marston.
Well, let me have a roll of song on the board, I'll cut it.